Members are quite scared and fearful of the prospect of a national government. Are you scared of the prospect of a national government?
I think the prospect of a national government is dangerous for New Zealanders, and the reason you're hearing that from members is that they come from communities who know what happens if state housing gets sold off, who knows what happens if public services get cut, who know that if we don't take action on climate change, it's difficult for the future generations. These are people from the communities who've experienced what happens when National's in government. So I'm not surprised that you've heard that from them.
Liz Luxon, it's not very nice.
Well, I think Christopher Luxon's got to face up to the fact that he still has a party with a policy of tax cuts for the wealthiest. Liz Truss dropped that policy because it was seen by both the people of the United Kingdom but also the financial markets as being wholly irresponsible during a cost of living crisis. So I think if you've got the policy, you have to own it.
See, basically your entire speech was attacking Christopher Luxon and the National Party. Does it speak to how worried you are about next year?
No, it speaks to what's at stake next year. 2023 is an election where the progress that we've made as a Labor government is at risk if National gets in. And actually it wasn't the whole speech. Obviously I wrote the speech so I know what was in it. And I talked about what our economic plan is. I talked about our record on the economy. That's my job. But I also contrasted that with the National Party. And it is a serious choice. As the Prime Minister said yesterday, the 2023 election is going to be like a normal MMP election. The blocks are close. People have to think about what's at risk if the government changes.
You mentioned National 19 times in that speech and Chris Luxon 9 times. Are you spending too much time talking about the opposition?
Absolutely not. This is an election. We're heading into it. It's also a Labor Party conference, but we're heading into an election year. And there is a choice to be made for New Zealanders. It's a choice about whether we keep looking after people to get through the cost of living crisis, whether we start planning for an economy that has high-wage jobs, that actually takes climate change seriously, or a party that would go backwards from a leader who I hear thinks that the Pacific Ocean is a giant carbon sink now. These are real choices for New Zealand, and it is fair enough for us to compare and contrast. New Zealanders need to be really clear that the policies that Christopher Luxon have don't add up. There is no way of him being able to do the scale of tax cuts that he is claiming and not cut public services or increase debt. I'm sorry to do it to everybody again, but that is the fiscal Bermuda Triangle. And unless he can explain his way out of it, it is a dangerous proposition for New Zealand to have him in government.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald. Click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.